they were geniuses
Well,
at that.
well, I think the longevity of the song speaks for how great of a song it was and how good your performance was on it. Because, as you mentioned, not only was it featured on the Butch Cassidy movie, but also Spider-Man 2 and Forrest Gump and Grey's Anatomy, The Simpsons. It just goes on and on. It's one of those songs that seems to be popular, just as popular now, as it was back when you recorded it.
Well, thanks for saying that, and I think you're right. I mean, I think there's something about that song that rings true with people of almost any age, and it has stuck around for a long time. And I think it was just, and I don't want to be immodest in saying this, but I do think it was just the perfect meeting of composition and lyric and singer, and of course it had the cinematic element too. So it was just a perfect meeting of a lot of good things, and it just worked out perfectly.
And Billboard magazine even named it recently, a couple of years back. I think it was one of its Hot 100 all-time top songs. So that pretty much sums it up right there.
Well, they did do that. I was very pleased by that, and boy, with the way the genres have changed over the years, I think it was even named the number 5 all-time country song. So it wasn't really a country charted song back then, but now it's got that element.
Well,
so then,
if you
it's
want
a great song and it proves itself over and over.
If you want my opinion, it's about 1,000 times more country than anything that passes for country on country radio today.
I think you're right there. I think it was one of those songs that just it was so right. It just kind of crosses all the boundaries. It's country, it's pop, it's even jazz, or it's even got a little blues in it. So it crossed a lot of boundaries.
Well, another song that has certainly become a country standard itself, and it went to the number 1 on the country charts in addition to the pop charts and adult contemporary. I think they used to call that a Triple Crown record.
Yeah.
Is I think it's the longest song title ever featured on the Billboard charts. I read that on Wikipedia, I think. But anyways, here we go. You might probably already know what I'm getting at, but hey, won't you play another Somebody Done Somebody Wrong song?
Yeah, that's right. And Chips always used to correct me. He'd say that the name of the song was Somebody Done Somebody Wrong Song, and then in parentheses underneath it had Hey, Won't You Play? So he was, to Chip's Moment, who produced Hooked on a Feeling and Just Can't Help Believing a lot of songs on me. He and Larry
Butler, right? Yeah.
Wrote that song, and it was a great song. We were recording an album in early '75, and we were finished with the album and playing it down. And the studio group and myself and Chips were sitting listening to it. And when we finished listening, we kind of had a consensus that we didn't think we had a hit record on the album, even though we cut Crying, the Arvidsson song, and various songs. And we thought we had a good album, but we didn't think there were any hits on it. And then Bobby Emmons, the organ player on that session, I think it was the Reunion album with Chips, said, Chips, why don't you play BJ that song you just wrote? And so Chips got the guitar and played Me Wrong Song, and man, bang, it was just loved it, and we cut it in about maybe 2 tries at the most. We had the track, and it just was a very natural song and a great country song.
Well, I heard you say, I believe it was on the one of the latest Country Family reunions, that you said even when he sang it to you, Chips, that it sounded like a hit record, because I guess he was not the greatest singer in the world. I take it.
Well, no, he didn't want to sing it, Paul. He was like, his face got red when Bobby said that, and he said no, and he beat around the bush, and Bobby said, "Come on, Chips." And so anyway, he got the guitar, and he was a great guitar player, one of the greatest, and he played it down, and even though he wasn't Mario Lanza or anything, he wasn't a great singer, but he got the point across, and I just knew it. And I had a feeling about it like raindrops. I just knew that it was a great song and had a great chance of being a hit. And you always hope what you're doing is going to be successful, but in the end, most of the time you've got a pretty good idea of whether it's going to do well or not. And I couldn't wait to cut it. And after we cut it, it was obviously a great song.
It just really flows great to one chord from another. They get a couple of minor chords in there. It just has a great flow to it, and your voice is so smooth. So I can understand why you thought it would be a hit right away, and time proven you correct.
The greatest songs are the simple ones, and and I think that's what I always loved about Raindrops was the simplicity of it. And Wrong Song was a lot like that. And I remember when I was doing the vocal. I was having a little trouble with the notes and the verse. They were a little low, and Chip said, "BJ, you're singing them too hard." He said, "Just lighten up and sing them real softly." And so,
at the sad melody part.
As soon as I softened up, it worked. So.
Yeah, at the part where it goes, "Please play for me a sad melody."
Yeah, so play for me. Yeah. So Chips was a wonderful writer and still is. He's a great producer. He was the best engineer in the studio. He could get the sounds he wanted, and he was like the first guy to record me without any echo, or he always recorded me absolutely dry, with no effects on my voice at all. And he was the first guy to do that. And he was very, very astute at what sounded. The way things were supposed to sound.
Well, your voice has such a resonance in it, and it is very unique and so smooth. The only voice I can compare it to is with the like Randy Travis, though much bassier. He doesn't have as much range, but he has that little bit of resonance in it. But we were talking with I had T.G. Shepard and his wife Kelly Lang on the program last week, and we were talking about his duets project, which you recorded a song on. And then we heard it, and we were talking about how you are one of the few artists that sounds even better today than you did back then. I mean, we don't know how it's possible, but you do. I was just totally.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. It's like anything. I'm sure you do the same thing. I have a lot of my peers that kind of gave up on their voices as they grew older, and you sometimes as you're growing and you live in your life, you pick up some bad habits, and there have been a lot of bad habits that I've had to stop. I've had to clean up, what I do, and I have to eat right. I have to try to get as much rest as I can. No smoking and no a lot of things. So it's I've had to work on staying in shape. And hey, I really appreciate you saying that, because you don't get that kind of feedback very often. And
you're very welcome. And just for anyone listening out there, if they want to type in "I'm so lonesome I could cry" on YouTube, BJ Thomas. Hopefully it'll still be up there, copyright notwithstanding, but there's a great performance of BJ singing that song from the Country's Family Reunion we were talking about earlier, and it just totally blew me away. And you can see the look on, for those that haven't seen that program, it's a bunch of mostly country artists sitting around and telling stories and watching each other sing, and you just see the look on the people's faces. And I mean, these are like really great singers too, like Larry Gatlin and Jimmy Fortune, and they're just blown away by your vocals on that. So strong, and oh man, you just have to see it, because it's live. Not too many people sound it.
I remember that.
Well, not too many. Another thing with the sounding good age-wise is also not too many people can sound better live than they do in a studio. So that's another thing. I mean, it's just amazing.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, you're very welcome. And I guess if we could talk about another song,
sure.
that if you have time, is rock and roll lullaby. It's I'm not sure if it went to number one, but I know it was a top hit on the pop charts. I think it went to number one. But
it was a very successful song here, and it sold 1 million copies in South America. It was a theme song for a novella, a soap opera.
I didn't know that.
Down there, just a great song. It was written by Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil, and it was a part of. They had written a lot of songs for a Broadway play, and it was one of the songs in the play. The play never was actualized, or it never materialized in production, but we did some of the songs on the album Billy Joe Thomas, produced by Steve Tyrell and Al Gargoni, and I always loved that song.